Hello everyone, this is my Dark Army Moze build. I came to this when I was originally messing with Mara, and I saw how the best idea for Dark Army was pretty straightforward. It was just driver, and that's what you went for, straightforward. You look insane, and it's just violent momentum, and that's all. You look at Flak, and it's Stackbot, and that's the main strategies. It's just those three, and it's pretty boring in my opinion. So I was thinking, what about Moze? Moze doesn't have any straightforward, super easy, direct way to get gun damage except for Phalanx Doctrine. But the issue with that is that Phalanx Doctrine tends to be available only in combat. But that is one of the two methods that we do use for the Dark Army. We're not going to be using that in this video, but we are going. We're not going to be using that in this video, but that is an option. So everyone can agree on Flag Zane Mara that there's just a best option. Moze? No one can really agree. Me and my friend were talking about the bounty in my server, Amar Academy, about Dark Army Moze, because of this. He went with a Bloodletter spec using Phalanx Doctrine and Desperate Measures to get a higher damage on his Dark Army, but had to do it in combat. I don't quite like doing that. I don't like going to combat. I barely like it with Stackbot. So I decided I was going to go a more like standard prep, just before fights, and then you just go through all the content without thinking about it. And so that's what this is going to be showing. That's what I'm going to be showing you guys, teaching you guys, and explaining to you guys today. Now, to start, why do we want Dark Army? Just a fun SMG. But what exactly are we going to be using to optimize it? And specifically, what Dark Army does is when you swap to the gun, it captures your fire rate and gun damage stats at that exact second, and copies that to every drone, and those stats do not change until you swap off the weapon. So, what that means is that all three of our drones are going to inherit the gun damage that we give. So if we have 800% gun damage and 900% fire rate, you swap to the gun, we're going to get that bonuses on the drone permanently, or at least until we respawn or leave areas or swap weapons. And so we just want fire rate, gun damage percent, nothing more. Amp doesn't work, overkill doesn't work, just those two. Now, as I explained, there's two routes. I already explained the routes, and it's pretty simple. You can go like click, which is what I did, or you can go Phalanx Doctrine. And I'm not going to be showing Phalanx Doctrine. I am sure if Iserrot wants, he can make a post about it, because he does do that over on Reddit occasionally. And if you have watched the previous Dark Army Moze video that I can find on YouTube, which is Drone Mother, you might see some similarities between mine and his. And though I haven't directly looked over his entire build, I did kind of skim the spec after I made the bounty, just to see, hey, what is other people working with? What are we doing? Like, what do people think is happening? And so, overall, I'd say his spec's pretty good, but I did have some improvements I wanted to impose on it, and that's what this build is. So, skill tree, we're going to start with purple. We're going to go Cryo, Red Flare here. So for Cryo, we're going to want to get down Purple Tree to Superior Firepower. Because, despite what the card says on Superior Firepower, it does increase Cryo damage, like the Cryo element scaling, by 20% up to 5 stacks for 100% element damage. Hold 2 times damage on your Cryo Dark Armies. That's kind of insane. And so we want to get that. It's absolutely worth the point investment. I've tested other ways, and it's just nothing beats it. And because our Cryo is so strong, it does beat Corrosive, which tends to be the other option people go with. If you don't want to go Cryo, you go Corrosive. It's just pretty standard Moze stuff. And so, that's just how we go. Cryo, very strong. Standard spec, nothing special here. And that's it. We take 4 running on Fumes, and 1 never going to give you up, because we want Flare to be uptime. We don't club uptime. And Purple Tree, pretty boring, pretty standard. Over in blue, also pretty boring, except you'll notice that we don't have any excess means of destruction except from our flare comb, because we don't want any way of ammo getting inside of our magazine. I'll explain that in a little bit, but do not want ammo in your mag, so we don't want more means of destruction. Other than that, Grizzled, Stainless Steel Bear for Skag Den damage, Deadlines to keep Bearer uptime, and to the last, no Vampire, we're going Deathless, so Vampire is kind of useless here. If you do want to go Victory Rush, which you can go with like A point in Vampire, because there's no exact best grenade here. We're not really throwing grenades, really. And blue, pretty standard, other than means of destruction, because we can't use it. And then For red, well, it's empty, as you see. And that's for a very good reason. We can't afford it. We don't have a single extra point from what we're grabbing to take anything in red. Not even Security Bear, not for Thin Red Line, not for Vladof Ingenuity. We don't have any points. Bare Fist would be a very nice grab. However, we can't afford it. That's way too many points that we already don't have, and so red tree is going to stay empty. And then green is the interesting one. This is the one I'm very excited to talk about, because green is click click, and green has everything that we want to utilize. So green, unlike most times, we're going to go 5 and matched set. Now that's a very interesting take. Matched set, why over that over Cloud Lead? We don't want ammo to come back to the mag or to stay in the mag. We want to empty it. So we take match set, and we just don't take any other TDORs in our loadout, and we don't get that mag size increase. We're going to take Daka Bear, that's a throwaway point, just because we moved down the tree. Then we're going to take Stoke the Embers, because this multiplies Skag Den and Big Surplus. Very nice fire damage scaling. Scrappy is really good for 30% gun damage, that's all we take it for. It helps out, especially with the simple prep that we're going to be talking about later. Otherwise, it's just kind of okay. You kind of take it, kind of don't. No redistribution, because ammo regeneration bad. No rushing offensive. You can absolutely put the point from Daka Bear into rushing offensive. You're going to go Terror Cryo with Victory Rush. However, we're not going that on my specific setup, so we don't take rushing offensive. RPMs is crit damage. Love crit damage. You want crit damage. It's also fiery. Fiery helps us empty our mag faster. We want that. We also get skill damage from this, which increases Skag Den and Surplus even more. Special Spare. Throwaway point. Pretty simple. And Quick Click is the star of the show here. So Quick Click is going to give us 60% gun damage when our magazine is empty. So with Quick Click, you're going to want to empty your magazine on the Dark Army, swap away to a different gun, swap for it, and be moving. That's how you're going to get the max damage for your Dark Army drones on a simple prep. Very simple, 90% gun damage from Scrappy and Quick Click, and that's it. It does not matter the magazine of the gun before the swap, only the Dark Army. So you want to swap it to where it begins the real animation, and then swap away. Swap back, and get your damage. Other than that, pretty cool. And another one of the Dark Army effects is when your mag's empty, like you shoot it empty, you will get, for 3 seconds, 6.66 times damage and an element on your Dark Army drones. That means 2 times damage on top of more damage, so 2 times on top of 6.66 times damage, for a good around 13 times damage that your drones otherwise wouldn't have been doing. That's a huge increase. That's a terrifying increase. And so, we absolutely want to abuse that, and that's what we're going to do. And, as I said, when you empty the magazine, you want your Dark Army empty, not the gun before. Actually, the gun before doesn't matter. That's something Ancient Rune didn't mention. He didn't quite know what the answer was to that question. But it's Dark Army. Glad that can be clarified finally. And for action skill, we're going to go Cub with Fuel for the Fire, and Salamanders with Fuel Economy. Just bear uptime on bear uptime on bear uptime. For simple prep, if you're not going to go anything complicated, you can also go... What's the skill called? You can also go Efficiency Engine and let your Cub sit out for a little bit, get a little more gun damage on that swap, and then swap back if you so please. You don't need to. Just a little bit more gun damage on top of gun damage for more Dark Army. And so the prep is very simple. Spawn Cub if you have the augment. Fire your magazine empty. Swap away. Walk forward. Swap back. And that's your prep. That is how strong your Dark Army drones are going to get on the simplest prep you can. The gear you're going to want is any cryo primary element guns, so Mao ones with primary cryo. Your Dark Army with cryo. Any Manuel, any Flare, any Sparkbug Deathless, any Sparkbug Deathless or Victory Rush, depends on your flavor. And then your grenade is choice. You don't need a Hex, unlike most builds, you don't need a Cloning Maddening Tracker. You can go Lightspeed, you can go Fungus Among Us, you can go anything. The only thing is, the Anoints, you're going to want under 50% health to deal 100% radiation damage on your drones. If you go with Victory Rush, then you're going to want Terror Cryo instead. For your Manuel, you're going to want melee attacks do 25%. Your melee attacks are going to do 25% chance to get Terror. because your Spark Blood does trigger this. It is blind damage, which is a subclass of melee. Your grenade, doesn't matter which one it is going to want to have terror damage fire rate. So the more terror you have, the more damage you're going to do. And it's 1.35 times, as far as I believe, V1. Very good. Very good, very strong, and just very good bonus for you to utilize. Victor Rush does play into V1 as well, so it's a little dampened by that, but who knows? We don't need radiation on here. If you go Terra Cryo, I would change it for action skill and radiation, and go like an AC Cup spec more akin to what Ancient Arena has. However, that's not what we're doing. If you want to get to the very complicated, very fun, and, you know, more complicated setup, that's even more powerful, you're going to want any penguin shield with power charge, a self-dot gun, hopefully primary cryo element, just for even more harmonious havoc. You're going to want to go with a green monster or a low life, as many points in the click as you can, and if you can, it's a very high RNG, but you can get weapon damage, fire rate, say weapon damage and weapon fire rate as your passives for a tiny bit more bonus. You're going to have this equipped, and then you're going to have, if you can, a TDR company man with fire rate and TDR damage. That's it. You don't need anything else on that. It's not a hard farm. It's probably somewhere around like 1 in 100, which overall for Borderlands 3 is a very short farm. That's like super easy in terms of Borderlands 3, where you have millions upon millions of chances for some gear. And then you're gonna use your self-dot gun to get around 4 or 5 of your power charges in a place where you don't automatically pick them up. Then you're gonna swap away from that power charge to your revolter and break your shield. Then you're gonna, once that shield is broken, you can put back on your mana well, or your favorite shield that you're gonna be using, preferably mana well though. And then you're gonna pick up your power charges, swap to your emptied mag Dark Army, and you're going to get that bonus. And that's going to be a metric load of damage shoved on it that you otherwise wouldn't previously have. It's over 2 times what you would have had previously. Over 2 times. And an already good build. And you get the fire rate from Revolter permanently as well. Then once you have that, you're going to swap back to your Flare, you're going to swap back to your Sparkplug, Deathless, or Victor Rush, you're going to swap back to your old shield, and you're never going to swap your gun. You're just going to keep holding your Dark Army, and you're going to do a whole lot of damage. And then you just shoot your mag at or near enemies, and the Dark Armies will do all the work for you. The only thing that I will say you need to note is that when you get teleported by Scourge, you will want to do simple prep. You won't want to do the super complicated one, because when you teleport from Scourge, it's going to take a hot minute for your drones to come back, and that's just too much time that we don't have, that we can't utilize. And so, just swap, do simple prep, just take the damage unless if you did the complicated one, and you're Guardian Takedown. Other than that, this build is pretty good. I ran it through True Malon and True Guardian Takedown. It's pretty tanky overall. On True Guardian, though, you do need to be a little extra careful because you don't have any way to regenerate your shield. And so you need to play a lot more safe, but still a very strong, very aggressive build. Red Explosions will kill everything. Your main projectiles will kill everything. Short Fuse will clear mobs in half a second. And it's just a very fun, very cool, very unique build that not many Moze players even think about, because this SMG isn't Splash, and it's in the exact same chest as the Plasma Coil. If you have any questions about this build, you can go send a comment. If you see anything wrong, also send a comment or DM me on Discord. It's the same as my YouTube. Or you can even join my server and send me a ping. I'm completely open to taking any criticisms. I'm not a Moze main. I don't know Moze that well. I'm just trying my best to improve a build that is a very cool idea, because I love Dark Army, and I hope more people can try it out. But if that's all, this is Dizzy Configure, and I hope you have a wonderful day.